Come on, folks. Who's here? Talk. Before we freeze up. It's not too bad in here. I turned the heat on about 2:30, and I came in at 5, and it was still pretty cold.
I wondered if I should bring down my heater.
Are you okay? Are you warm enough?
I left my boots on, so I'm all right. This is the other one. This is what was where I was.
Good. I should have asked you if you wanted to ride, but I usually come a little early and stay a little late.
It was fine. It was fine. My car was warmed up as Jesse was doing this afternoon, so
I had trouble with my windshield icing
I
over.
put it in the garage, so
Okay. Come on, Vince.
Oh, vigilantes are here.
Nuts, I wouldn't be out here.
Are you ready?
I got it.
I believe it. Of course you believe it.
I got a bench.
Okay. Are you ready?
Oh, and hey, there's our new county legislator.
All 4 of them.
All of them? Oh, gosh, he's the guy that took them.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with the salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm happy that Ruth is back with us. Please call the roll.
Supervisor Hawthorne,
Here.
Councilor Edwards,
Here.
Councilor Greco,
Here.
Councilor Haggerty, Councilor Abbott, Highway Superintendent Moyer. He wants to-
Oh, he, because he's got duties.
Okay, and Deputy Supervisor.
First order of business, very important. I'd like to welcome, we have 2 brand-new board members.
Wait, if anybody needs these, we got some. Anybody need them?
Oh, I did.
I left the room.
Oh, okay. To my right, Mrs. Carol Abbott, who is joining us as a council person in her first term, and to the far left is Dave Edwards. We welcome you and look forward to working with both of you. Also, we have some brand-new county legislators, and I believe that some, if not all of them, are with us. Would you, Mike, would you like to, first of all, Mike French represents a large part of the town, and you could perhaps,
3-4, right? We have Franny Hofer here.
how do you do?
Represent the big part. We have Phil Dashaw.
You have a big part.
Clayton Brewer.
Yes.
Yeah, Phil has a big part too. Phil's up there in my area, all District 1 a lot.
1 and 7.
That's a large district, and a lot of people from Granby in that district. And we welcome you.
Thank you.
And wish you well. That's going to be a challenge. First of all, a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meetings.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Under old business, I would like to tonight set the date for the public hearing on, we've discussed proceeding with the steps that would lead to a local law that would establish a sole assessor instead of 3 elected assessors. And I thought we should get that date for the public hearing. We sometimes do them board meeting nights, like at 7, and then the board meeting to follow. Could do it February 11th, or we could do it a different night, doesn't really matter. Bruce would have to have time to advertise it.
That's,
You got it.
fine with me.
Oh, yeah.
Someone like to make a motion?
Want to do the regular night?
It's up to you. Do you
Do
think?
it on
I make a motion to do it the regular night, the 11th.
February 11th at 7 o'clock.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. This is, by that time, the attorney will have the law in your hands, and it will say that it would be effective not until the 1st of July, and subject to permissive referendum. So, other than that, it's the usual talk. I think it might be a nice idea if we bring in Mr. Hastings, who is the director of the Real Property Tax Service,
Excellent.
and he can explain a little bit more
Oh, I had to go on. Disney Tower.
pros and cons, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I will invite him. We do need to vote on this.
Yeah, we're gonna make a note of that.
I will invite him.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Hagerty?
Yes.
Counselor Farrell? Counselor Abbott?
And Ruth has been out of the office quite a bit, but I guess we want to put another ad in the paper, or we haven't heard of anybody. Nobody's volunteered to be youth director.
No.
So I think she planned on doing that anyway, so we'll go ahead and do that. One item of, each year we get a contract, and I gave, in your packets, I gave you a copy of it. It's a very brief contract from the Oswego County Department of Planning and Community Development. And they have been assisting us with their comprehensive plan, and will have agreed to continue to do so under the terms of this contract. And I looked at it, it's the same contract we have had in the last couple of years, the same terms. Maximum $2,800, but it's only $2,800 if we spend $2,800. And they will help to assist in the final edits, assist in the plan adoption process, and assist the town in updating its zoning if we get to that point, and hopefully we will before the end of the year, based on the adopted plan. So I would need your authorization to sign this contract.
Motion or?
Yes. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's all.
Someone like to make that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? We will get back to this plan very, very soon, and I'm trying to locate copies for both of the new people. So far, I haven't got them, but if we have to, we'll buy copies. They're quite expensive, but I think there are a couple extra copies out there.
Big thick book?
Thick. Okay, let's have a vote on that.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes?
Counselor Hagerty?
Yes.
Counselor Abbott?
Okay. Now, I just mentioned this because someone came in the office just a couple of days ago. I put in your packet, I didn't identify what it was, but it's a sliding scale for senior citizen exemptions. Our sliding scale differs from the county sliding scale by about $500. And the point that this gentleman made, who is a senior citizen, was that we haven't changed this in, I don't know, Ruth, it's been long before I came here. And because of inflation, and each year the folks on Social Security get a 2% increase and so forth, some of them are no longer eligible, who used to be eligible. So it might be worth looking at it. I don't think we need to take any action tonight, but considering whether we want to make any change, and possibly, I would think if we were to change it, to bring it up to the same rates as the Oswego County one. Oswego County exemption. So look that over. We'll talk about it sometime very soon. See what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the ones you put, compare it to, we're already.
No, these are the school districts.
Oh, I thought these were
No,
comparisons. Oh,
no.
all right.
Those
We're
are the
just-
3 school districts. This is Oswego County, and this is town of
Oh, I
Granby.
thought maybe Hannibal was
If
wrong.
you look at the difference,
Yeah.
Oswego County runs from 50% exemption for up to $16,025. Our 50% exemption only goes up to $15,525, so there's a $500, and it runs all the way through that $500 difference. And we don't go as high on the upper end.
This goes to 23,000.
But I think I'd want to get a little more information, find out what the financial impact would be if we were to do this also. But it might
Exactly.
help people with their county tax if we give them a little bit. So
Do we go back to that then?
think about that one.
Yeah, that's, gotta get a little more information.
We might
I'd like to see what effect. what
talk to
people-
the assessors also. It must be extremely difficult for them to, in each case, determine, when they get the star exemption application, they determine whether a person is eligible for the senior exemption. And of course, it's a different income level for town than it is for county, and still a different income level for the school district, so it's gotta be a nightmare. Okay. Oh, I went right by one here. The codes officers had a department meeting recently, and they sent me a letter. I wasn't at the meeting. They said, due to recent activities in commercial construction in the town of Granby of small, non-habitable structures, namely ATMs and communication towers substructures, a need has arisen to modify our fee schedule. It is proposed that we charge a flat fee of $50 for these structures and classify them as follows: miscellaneous commercial small structures. Please consider this category and advise us as to your decision. I believe you were at that meeting, Dave?
Yeah, they, it was never covered before, and
Yeah.
they had the other
I think what
fees.
came about, there was an ATM that went in within the town, and the whole fee was $6 and some cents or
Right.
something. And
Plus you can make additions to the towers.
the only thing that bothered me about this, the miscellaneous commercial small structures, I think is too vague. It leaves open argument about, well, is this part of your normal construction? Is this a shed? Is this a, you know what I mean? If we were to go with it, I would say to specify it for ATMs and communication towers. I mean, I know they're trying to include things that we might not have thought of yet, but it opens it. You know, I read that and I said, that opens it up for argument. If you look at
Proceed right on.
the rest of the permits schedule,
I might have had it.
How about
there
if I-
could be an argument about whether it goes up here or down here.
How about if I take it back to the meeting?
Okay,
I'll take it back to them.
all right, go back and discuss a little bit more with them.
You would be talking about those buildings, you know, that people have on their, what they meant by small structures.
Commercial structures we're talking. And they only mentioned those two things. Okay.
This was just a report, right?
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay, well, I'm just, I got too many papers today, and I'll sort it out.
See if I got that. Okay, I had a call the other day from the city clerk in the city of Fulton, and they were taking care of some loose ends. Namely, they had not made any appointments to the Lake Neotawana Reclamation Committee in some time, and I think we have not either. Perhaps we did as late as 2 years ago, but I don't think we've done anything since. I looked up what the people who are currently serving or were serving on the committee. I wasn't sure whether this committee was still active, but apparently they are. And the three names are Fanny Knapp, Michael Body, and James Best. And I would recommend that we reappoint them for these terms that are listed here.
They all run out? different
Fanny's
times.
would run out the end of this year.
Have all these people been contacted? I mean, they still want this?
I
position?
haven't, no. I think they do, but,
Do we have to do it? I'm just,
Just do
like,
it.
just do it?
yeah.
Well, I don't know how long she wants to do it. I know-
Well, if,
I know Jim does, and Mike probably, that's all.
and I'm sure she does, because she called last year and she said, am I still on the committee? I expect she does. So, if she, if they don't want it, then we can find someone else.
In other words,
Okay.
I see where the term don't run up to the end of the year. I didn't know if we necessarily had to do it tonight, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I would say so.
Okay. That's all, that's my only concern.
Well, because I'm not sure we ever appointed her to this term that ends on the, see what I mean?
Okay, all right,
That's why. I want to reaffirm her term, which ends
okay.
on,
Well, we can do that. Or do you want to do all three? Is it-
all three is one.
Okay. I'll just make a note to check the same problem. I'll make a motion, we reappoint those three people, Randy Knapp and Michael Body and Jim Best. I'll second.
Does anybody, do you know what this committee is? Yeah. Carol, are you familiar with the Lake Reclamation Committee?
It's the Lake Neowana
They
thing.
formed this, oh gosh, probably 10 years ago. And they are concerned about the pollution in the lake. They've applied for 501c3 status. It's a nonprofit organization. And they've sought grants, and they've got some grants. And they've been doing some studies. I don't know if they're doing anything right now, but they're still in existence apparently, so. And of course, we have a lot of the surrounding territory around the lake, so we have a very much vested interest. Okay? I think we had a motion and a second. Ruth, would you call the roll?
Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
President Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Hagerty?
Yes.
Counselor Abbott?
Okay. How about some, can you wait until, you still having trouble?
I still can't hear you, Nancy, so.
Oh, I don't know, there's,
Maybe everybody else will be quiet.
I don't know,
I
it's
think
working.
that's on.
When you talk it this way and that, what do you?
Well, I have to talk to the board members, because we're,
Hey, we can hear
you
you
know.
now.
so,
Can't hear what you're saying, so we don't.
well, I'm sorry, I'll try to,
Let's keep the noise down.
You'll have to move up a chair there or two or something there, Frank.
how about the county legislators?
Not only you,
We can come right up to,
they can't hear anybody on the board, so turn their head, we don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well.
okay, we're not doing it intentionally, it's just, I don't know, don't we usually have more than,
I'm sure everybody.
Well, not only that's it, but people can hear me because I have that type of voice.
well, we're trying to talk to
Mr.
each
Mike,
other.
go ahead.
Okay,
All right, now it's my turn.
yes,
Yeah.
and you have a microphone.
First of all, I want everybody to know. The four new people, including myself, I've had an opportunity to talk with them. So three of us are new. I want to assure everybody that we take this job serious. We're going to have a policy that if anybody has a problem, question, concern, call us up. We'll get back to you. We'll hunt down the answer. We won't guarantee you'll like the answer, but we'll find out what we need to do to make it happen. Have a ton of calls on the transfer station. That seems to be the big item. We're working on that. It's in the works that it should, in the near future, go back to open on Saturday, I think. Can you say that, Clay? It's probably going to be closed one weekend, one Saturday, maybe two, however long it takes us to get a new schedule made up. But that is, I can almost assure you that it's going to be back open on Saturdays. Hours are going to be flexible. We don't know exactly what it's going to be. We're still looking at it. Another big call we've had is on your tax bills. They've decided to show you what you're paying for in your taxes, your Medicaid. They've always paid it before. It's not a new bill, honest to God. It's always been in your county taxes. They're showing you what your Medicaid cost is. It's 67% or something of your total tax bill. The big surprise was the county community college payback. That's a line item they put on there now, and they put it in there. It changed before this year. Every county, or every town, and every city was paying 80 cents a thousand for that payback. Now they're paying it by, it's going to be by the percentage of usage, about how many people you have are in the program. Granby actually went up. It went from 80 cents to $1.10 in Granby. $1.20, $1.07, I think.
$7, I think.
Yeah, $1.07, $1.20 is Hannibal. I think they're the high. Fulton's $1.14, but place like Amboy, 25 cents. They were paying 80. They don't have anybody in the program hardly at all. So it was trying to make it fair for the whole county. Another big issue, the sales tax proposal for a new increase of 1% for the county. So the county will go up to 8.25 instead of 7.25. Last year's legislature was nice enough to take credit for $1.6 million of revenue, anticipating that we're going to pass this tax. It hasn't been passed yet. We don't know for sure what's going to happen. Last night we talked about it. We're looking for input, obviously. I don't know what else I can tell you. That's about all we're working on so far. We've only had one meeting. Any questions? You guys want to get up and say anything? Come on up, Fran.
I'm only here because my friends told me.
Mr. French, don't go too far.
All right.
I'd like to say something before you guys get going. I'd rather see a 1% raise on our sales tax than our land tax raises. Sales tax spreads it on everyone. But I'm probably a minority.
No, that's what we want, is input.
But that's what, as, I've lived here all my life, and I'd rather see a 1% raise on sales tax
Well, this year-
or whatever you have to get, you know, but it's,
Just to let you know where it stands, this year is $1.6 million for 1 quarter, it's three months. Next year, 2005, will generate $5 million. Okay, it's $1.6 million this year for 1 quarter, I think. Possibly more. Possibly more, you're right. You're possibly more because it's the last quarter, and it'll be this holiday season, so.
Just to clarify that, what the position is, if the current legislators
Why don't you
pass
stand
that.
up and everybody can
Yeah,
hear you?
sure.
My name's Phil Vashel, and just to clarify that, if the current legislator passes this, then it has to go to the state. The state has to approve it, and then it has to come back to us for another approval.
It's already been sent to the state. It was in the paper yesterday.
But we have to approve it.
It has to
Then
come back to us, right?
back.
Yeah.
So,
There are many steps, yeah.
yeah, there's a couple of steps.
That's why it won't be until the final third or quarter of the year before we implement it.
The earliest they could be implemented, in Fulton it already is 8.25%.
Makes you
The
think
earliest
that
it could
that
be
1% sales
implemented
tax
is
ain't gonna raise
August or September.
Well, the
land tax up
impact will be
You're absolutely
more
right.
next year than this year. It's $5 million next year. That's
They
the
raise
A lot of
sales
money,
tax,
and
then you always got to leave
I agree with Les, myself, that's my personal
A
opinion.
lot of people
No
do
matter
think
which
it's
way
a
you go,
fair
it's screwed
thing.
in.
It is more fair because it spreads it around.
The lower income may be beat up a little bit because it gets in there, it affects their fuel bill, their phone bill, their
Yeah.
cable bill, everything, okay?
Well-
And the people on fixed incomes, that's the ones that are looking at.
I agree.
So there is two sides of every story, obviously.
It
The
will
more you
hurt the
spend, the more-
businesses.
Excuse me?
It will hurt the businesses.
It's gonna hurt business.
Well, and I'm worried about jobs too. If we lose any jobs, that's a big concern of mine. If we're gonna implement a tax and all of a sudden we lose, on the other end, people are out of work. So there's more to it than just, yes, it's the easiest way. And I agree, it's an easy, fair way to implement.
It affects everybody, you just mentioned that, if they get that, it'll affect, like you said, your telephone bill, your gas, all those bills.
Your fuel bill, your cable bill, your phone bill,
Everything.
everything you get. So
I want people to understand that.
there's a lot to it. And I'm not disputing with anybody. We're looking into it, and I'm going into it with an open mind. I haven't made up my mind one way or another yet.
Right now, the majority of the legislators, but the majority of the legislature is committed against the sales tax increase. And I'm one of those legislatures, and I'll never vote for a property tax increase or a sales tax increase, ever, period. Regardless, there's no argument that can convince me that there's any logic to it. Our property taxes are already 79% higher than any place else in the rest of the United States. People are leaving, our businesses are closing. We can't afford a sales tax. The only choice we have to do is to reduce the size of our government, reduce the cost of it, get more efficient, get more effective, and keep our people. My job is to provide prosperity to you, not to have a big fat government. And I'm going to fight to reduce government. And what I'm trying to do right now is put in a 5% property tax cap growth cap. No more than 5% growth in property taxes and no more sales taxes. And I'm going to fight for that. I don't care if we have to shut down half of this government. I want Rosie to be able to pay her heat bill. And I want you to be able to afford your groceries. And what we're doing with taxes is driving everybody out of here. Look at the for sale signs around here.
Are you the guy that owns that
You
website?
betcha.
I
Okay.
talked to him already, I got the answer
I
for
mean,
you.
you're paying,
All right, then I'll shut up.
you're paying
Go
a
ahead.
sales tax on your you people are paying a sales
I had a
tax on your
phone
house
to
right now. Every year you pay a sales tax on your house. We can't pay any more.
You're right, you're
We
absolutely
cannot
right.
afford anymore. And some of us have to just start saying no more. And there's a lot of justification, there's a lot of arguments in favor of sales tax. They don't have any weight with me. I'm not paying any attention to that. We can't afford any more taxes, and that's where I stand. And these guys are a lot more reasonable than I am.
I agree, but you gotta remember there's mandates that come down. And those are the variables that you have no control over. When the state comes down and says you have to pay this much more than you did the previous year. I'm not disputing, I agree with Fran 100%. We pay too much, we don't need any more. But when a mandate comes down that you have to fill, they give you a hole to fill.
Of course, then you can defy them.
Mike,
Well, that's,
Mike, those mandates are crap.
That's right.
If our legislature, last year and the year before and the year before that, had got off their dead fannies, got a busload of people along with the legislature, talked to some other county legislators, took them down to Albany and shook those people up.
I'm willing to shake the bush, believe me. All you gotta do
There's
is tell me
no
how.
better thing than straighten the
Lead me in the right
numbers.
direction. If there's
And
some
they
way to
better
do it, I'll
start
do it.
cutting down there, because there's no assemblyman or senator that needs
And I know
15
Fran
people
would.
in their office, and then a regional office besides, but all these people in this county have played kissy face to those people down there. And it's sickening, because you're right, we're the highest tax state in the union, and those people down there keep sending up the old Medicaid bills and et cetera to us because they want the vote. They're nothing but a stinking bunch of rabble-rousers and crooks, that's all they are.
Yes, sir.
There's one other thing that's can be involved here too. And these people up here are to blame for it. I am a farmer, I grow potatoes, NAFTA has practically put us out of
Oh, that
business.
was a bad one, yes.
Now, with the equalization rate, and I'm in 4 different school districts, I say I'm a land poor. But because of what happened to the equalization rate, that the town board, especially the supervisor, could have done a lot about, it cost me pretty near $1,500 more taxes in one school district. And that's not 4 of them, that's one of them.
Either get equalized, or you get reassessed, or your taxes go up,
Our
or all three.
equalization rate's all screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on that.
Yeah, but we're working on it, look at who's suffering for it.
I know, we
Well,
all
people,
are.
I'm in the same problem with that Fulton school district.
I wouldn't expect you would have a problem anyway.
Oh,
I take it once of them
All
a
right,
few
let's
times
get
already.
back and
No,
allow
no,
the gentleman to
Right,
give
right.
the report, please.
But the thing is what Mike is probably, I describe Mike as the best guy in the legislature. As far as that. Mike is a dedicated man, he's very reasonable, one of the nicest guys I know. I'm not. I'm a brawling trench fighter. And I'm fighting to keep taxes down, and that's what I'm here for, and that's all I'm gonna
You
fight.
belong to my club, honey.
All right, it just, you know, the reasonable guys have their place, and there's a place for some warriors, and I'm one of the warriors, and I'm gonna fight for no more taxes, period. And the only chance that we have to do that is if all of you guys scream a lot. Because we can't have any, we cannot afford it. And, you know, a man described it to me that our property taxes now are equivalent to paying the sales tax on your house every single year. You know, what's your total property tax percentage? $50 $1,000, $40 $1,000. That translates to 4% of the value of your house every single year that you have to pay in property tax. That's a sales tax. We can't afford that. I can't afford that. The little old ladies on fixed incomes can't afford that. And then we go whack you with a sales tax increase on your everything else you buy, and your clothes and all that. How are you going to get the money?
We're looking at, as the United States, we're looking at close to 40%, maybe over 40% taxes that the people are paying in this country.
Right? The only solution is
40%
less
of their
government.
income.
The only solution is less
Going to
government,
tax.
and, the thing is if you sit here and ask more from your county, you know, give us this, give us that, give us this, give us that, but don't raise our taxes, we can't do that.
Our county has been rich for many, many years, and that's
You're
part of our
you're talking
problem.
about mandates.
We've had a lot of perks that a lot of counties
It's
don't
been a
have.
ripoff, that's what it's been.
Wow.
But you're talking about mandates. Look at the problem that we've got throughout central New York here. I won't go further because I don't know
Okay.
any more about that now. The problem we've got with Medicaid, I'm sorry. There's a lot of noise being made by the different towns, by the counties, and everybody, and all involved, going to Albany, getting things stirred up. What's gonna happen in another year? Something's gonna be done about it. The only reason nothing's been done about it before is because the people that represent us, we're just not getting what we're paying for, that's all.
The governor in his speech just the other day said that he was gonna try to take care of the counties somewhat. I
What's
don't
he
know
gonna
how-
take care of them with?
Your state tax is gonna go up, I don't know, but he said he was gonna, it's unfair, and he's gonna try to, I think it was $1.5 million we were looking
If
for.
he's gonna raise the state tax on the people.
2.1 million he's supposed to be sending us back on the Medicaid, so that'd work out, 2.1 would be, what's that, about 10% of, 10%? 10 or 12?
What he's gotta do is cut the benefits to the people that are getting Medicaid. May not be
Well-
the best thing to do, but he's gotta cut that.
I
All this
think,
crap
I
that we
personally think
had,
we need to police it better, and we need to get the deadbeats off, but it's,
you call that
The whole
welfare
system
department out there in
needs to be
Mexico.
streamlined.
yes, yes it does.
If it
Review
wasn't for the
and
damn taxes, we'd
a lot
have a
of
lot more
changes.
people working in this county now than we do right now.
You'd have a lot more people working in the country.
Well, you know, the thing is that when you sit in our chairs, we have a gigantic bureaucracy underneath us. We have somewhere between 12 and 1,400 employees working for the county. We've got thousands and thousands of people that want stuff from the county. And everybody in those chairs is afraid to say, sorry, we'll give you whatever you want. And then we turn around and whack you for
Well,
it.
that's what they've been.
Somebody-
Since the Niagara Mohawk has been
Right,
simple.
right.
You know,
Before
I'm
they
not...
deregulated power, we had all the money we wanted. Before Niagara
The
Mohawk,
guys that made the deal in two different
before
deals.
the
that
pilot
they had,
programs and the
you
deregulation
better
of power.
believe it. They
Okay,
sold it
yes.
right down the drain.
Yeah, the pilot programs are one of the worst things that ever happened in this
Just-
county, but
It just knows that.
When does
it was a necessity probably
We're
at
not
the time,
getting
I
what
don't
we're paying
know, right?
for.
I mean,
Well, the other
the
thing...
revenue stream was bad.
When does the payment in lieu of taxes stop
I
with
think
those
it levels
people?
off next year, doesn't it? Late, next year's the last year of the decrease in the pilot program.
Next year it'll be more, yeah.
Yeah, the next year it levels out, the lowest it goes, and then it starts going the other way, if I'm not mistaken. There is an incentive this year if the plants run efficient. I forget just how much it is, but and this year we get some free power. That's another perk we're getting.
That's 4 years down the road, I think.
Is it, it is?
4 years.
Okay.
Well, the feedback, I agree with all you people, and the feedback that I got was that the reason why you people were elected was people are tired of what was going on, and they want change.
There's
And just what they're saying tonight. And if it isn't done, and the people who don't back them, and the things that are still screwed up down there, there's gonna be some other changes.
Well, the thing is that, you know, we can't make change on our own.
No, I
Because
know.
you can't imagine the pressures that you're up against when you're a legislator. I mean, everybody wants things, you've got deals being made, you've got heavy political pressure.
Plus you have
You've got unions, you've got unions, and,
Well, you can
we
start
can't
with
do this
yourselves,
without
you know.
guys, and we-
Excuse me?
You can start with yourselves right at the legislative level
I turned
there.
down all my insurances. I mean, that's.
Well, that's what I mean, we can
No,
start,
no
you know,
Lulu,
cut some of
no-
that,
No health, no,
because you've all got jobs.
nothing.
Well, let me tell you
You were
something.
elected
Let me
to
just-
serve, right?
I was elected to serve this community, all right? But I'm also a business owner, and I make good money working. And it takes a lot of my time away from my job to be a legislator, to make
Yeah, it does.
$11,000.
Yeah, it does. It's not.
And I'll tell you something.
Well, then
you
you'd
got-
make just as good an
I'm gonna
activist
save-
as you would a
I'm gonna
legislator.
save you-
Step down and let someone else step in there.
Well, if you want me to work for free,
That's
I'm not
got
gonna do
time.
it. I'm not gonna work for free.
Well, you know, I'm not asking you to work for free, but on the other hand,
But see,
there's a
what-
lot of perks there that you guys are getting that you can cut out.
Sure, but now let me just lay this
And we could cut that airport out too, lease
Bet you
that
we
out.
could.
And cut some of these goddamn sheriff's cars that are sitting around in yards out.
You bet
Put
you
them
we
right
could.
on the auction
You bet you we
block.
could, and there's...
And that goddamn asphalt plant that we bought, we needed that like a hole in the head. Of course, you can't sell it now because nobody wants it.
Well,
Unless
There was a bid for 2.1 million.
It's a half
No,
project.
there was a bid, okay, and that's a good bid. That's, it's equal to what we, but it
You
is
got darn
state of
lucky
the
you
art.
got it.
Yeah, it is a state of art, it is state of the art plant, and it is something that actually can be a benefit to the county.
I think
We can't really jump, that's another thing, you can't jump before you look before you leap, or whatever, you can't.
Well, we're just doing suggestions here
No,
tonight.
I
you know?
appreciate it, I really do, and that's what we want input, honest to God.
the blacktop plant falls in the same category as all the land that the county owns. The county don't deserve, you don't need to own all the land it owns, thousands
You're
of
right.
acres. However, they've gotta have
Cost
some
of tax
gravel
rolls.
beds, I'll go along with that. But they don't need all the damn land that we've turned over to the state, or to the county, and it's off the tax roll.
The parks,
Here's the gentleman right here, he's the head of the highway department, he'll tell you his opinion on the blacktop plant. What do you think, Clay?
Actually, I've been for it. We've put out a lot of blacktop there. We did 53 miles of road a year. Last year we did 32 miles, so.
The problem with the blacktop plant is right now the county is the only one that gets to utilize it. If we're gonna keep the blacktop plant, we've gotta start using it, we gotta start giving it, selling it to towns, municipalities, whatever it needs to make it so it's, you can keep it operating, or
we should be
One
buying
or
our
two.
blacktop at Northern. We should be,
Can't buy it in Northern.
The thing is,
You gotta buy the blacktop where the lowest bid is and the less travel is.
the thing is
You
if,
can't buy anywhere you wanna buy.
if the
Clay, are you
blacktop
on the
plant is
highway
private-
department?
he's the chairman.
I have a question for you. On a Saturday,
Go ahead.
on a Saturday, it took five guys from the highway department, from the county, to write STOP on the four corners, on a Saturday. And my drunks at the bar complained about it, so I called the boss over. I says, how come you got five guys, STOP, and he walked away mad. Now, why do you need five guys on a Saturday to write STOP in the middle of the highway?
one coming, one going, one shitting,
Five,
one mowing.
five, now this
I don't know what has
is,
happened. I don't know what has happened because the
now
highway
this is where
department's
you
been on
got
4
to
days a
cut
week.
down.
I don't know where you got them five guys out there on a Saturday.
Honest to God.
It's
They are.
not, it's
I don't know
not.
where you got five guys out there on a Saturday.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Rose,
It's
Well, if you
Warren
don't know, you're
Lester's
the head of
telling
it. How
Tell me
well?
tell me what Saturday it
I
was.
privatized the whole thing. I believe that private enterprise is the whole
You're
point.
right.
We're here to encourage private enterprise, not to compete with it.
You're right.
We're competing with it with an asphalt plant. And Venetia has no competition because we own the batch plant. If somebody else owned that other batch plant, those two guys would be competing with each other, trying to do the best product as cheap as possible, and we would have more asphalt than we could deal with for a lot less than what we're paying for it. That's my point of view. And the same thing with Michaud. What are we doing running a nursing home competing with other businesses?
You're right.
What are we doing running an airport? That's just a place to dump patronage jobs.
And you bring your-
These things are costing us fortunes.
You're right.
It's a
Bring your
waste
meals
and we're
over
not.
from Fulton Hospital
What's
to the
that?
people of Michaud. They bring the meal, $28 a day, I understand it costs per person in Michaud Nursing Home for their meals.
They don't,
See, what-
they don't have a kitchen in Michigan.
See, what the
They have to
problem,
cater.
what
What the
happened,
hell would you build a nursing home without a kitchen for?
Led, what happened here is that we had
I
more
disagree
money
with
than
what
we
you're
knew
saying.
what to do with. We had more money
I
than we
know
knew
you
what to
did.
do with, and we got our fingers into everything. And that's not what government's supposed to be doing. Government is supposed to be helping, staying out of the way, and encouraging prosperity, not strangling the community. And that's where we've gotten. And we got that way because we had too much pilot money.
Okay, we'll be here after the meeting, if anybody wants to talk to us.
Hey, thank you.
I appreciate you coming, and I think we have some good dialogue started. I would ask you to think about ways that you could get more input from the community, such as you know, people have suggested things tonight.
In regards to the gentleman on your left, we have been here many, many times and tried to pass some input. And there isn't any time that any of you have ever listened to us in the town of Granby. This is not the county, this is the town I'm talking about.
Right, well, we're not, I'm talking about the county right now, and the particular issues that were,
Start about the town then, before you say this, Conrad.
well, I know that you feel that way. Where was I?
You were
If
talking
maybe
about-
even some kind of special town meetings or something, just to talk about these issues, these county issues, and the county tax situation might be a good idea, but appreciate you coming, and, you know, let the people know when and how they can best contribute their opinions, whether it's coming to public hearings or you know, letters to you folks or whatever.
The only thing is our monthly meetings is the night after your monthly meeting, so we're always gonna be a month behind when I come in and talk to you.
Right,
I'll be
well,
here
that's
every
all
month. And that's not maybe a bad thing.
And it's
You
not
can-
necessarily bad, because
You can tell me
sometimes
and I can go down there with
you can tell me, you will come and you will tell us that tomorrow night we're going to be
Yes.
discussing thus and so, and maybe some of us would want to
And
go.
those
and-
meetings down there are open to
you
the
know.
public too. that
Oh,
anybody
they
wants to
are.
Come down
Absolutely.
and watch a meeting or input. There's the same as you do here. You get up, you can speak at the end of the legislative session. And,
But oftentimes, your best input is one-on-one. I mean, Mike and I had a good discussion the other day, you know, about this and that. And that's a good way to really get your opinions across, is to your legislators.
Come down to the meetings. Rosie
Sure.
got them rolling in the aisles. She's great, and we'd love to hear the people come up and talk.
Yes.
I like it, and they all do.
Thank you. I know some people here that don't like it.
Now you got to
We like it.
yes.
We did.
That.
All right, where was I? Okay,
Now we're all done
now
with
I got some
legislators.
reports here.
Yeah, for the dog report.
I've got 'em all right here. That's it. That up good. Okay, we'll carry on here. We have some, I don't believe oh gee, I don't have the dog control officer's report with me, I guess. I believe I did have one, but, I don't think I brought it. The assessor's office, they've been busy taking star exemptions, especially. Historian, I have a report. Too many papers here.
Leave it on your desk.
I might have, here it is. No, it's in there.
The only report I got is the code itself.
There we go. Stack them here.
On the stack of
Okay, this is historian's report. Dear Nancy, for the months of November and December, I had 2 requests for family information. As mentioned in my October letter, I went to a travel and tourism workshop at the Phoenix Library in November. The grant money has been cut dramatically, but if there's something we wish to do in the future, I'll be happy to apply for a grant. Continue to cut newspaper clippings for the scrapbook. I remain in contact with the Valley News on a monthly basis via email. I continue to send them excerpts from the ASA Standard Journal. I truly think that the public will enjoy reading this once a month in the paper. I have started purging 6-year-old vouchers, checks, and statements from the records room per the SARA retention schedule. That's the state requirements. And per our discussion last week, I will attempt to create more space in the records room. I continue to make myself available to the public on Tuesday nights at the town hall and/or by phone or email. And that's Elaine Woolridge, our historian. Planning board? Have anybody from? Okay. Zoning Board of Appeals, you haven't met lately? No. Okay. Highway Superintendent, I guess he is not available tonight, but we all know what the highway folks have been doing.
code, you got a report.
Code enforcement, I do have a report, and this is an annual report that they have prepared for us.
In the highway department, why do they run up and down the road?
Well, can you hold that comment until the
Okay.
public comment section? And this is reports from, like, Lynn. And you need to really ask that question when he's here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? Ladies and Gentlemen, please accept for your review the 2003 activity report for the Town of Granby Codes Office. You will notice fewer permits were issued due to several variables, such as a very wet spring and sluggish economy. 2003, there were building permits 189, fees collected 16,202, construction cost was $2,584.80, or $2,584,080. There were 752 inspections, 38 fire inspections, 52 complaints, 15 still pending, 112 junk cars removed, 5 abandoned mobile homes, 53 violations still pending, 17 court cases, 5 are still pending, and 12 were resolved without fines. Our office has been very busy this past year. As you can see, the court cases require constant monitoring of the properties, and the new New York State Code is in full effect. We thank you for your continued support. That's from Bryce Talents, Harold Babcock, and Robert Delton. Okay, at the end of the year, I have provided to the board members a activity report, which is the last one for the year. It includes the activities for the month of December and a cumulative activities. It shows that all the accounts are in good order. None of them are over budget. We have come in at the end of the year about where I wanted to be. It's approximately the same balance that we expected. Our revenues exceeded our expenditures because we were quite careful, and we budgeted quite conservatively. So you can look that over at your, a lot of activity at the end of the year for me and my assistant Cindy when she comes in, and getting ready to do the annual report, which is due the end of February, and I do that electronically. There's some other things, but I can't remember them offhand. I should have made some notes, I guess. But mostly for me, it's in the last month, it's been the financial activities, which is the biggest part of the supervisor's job. Town clerk, tax collector. Today she's more of wearing the hat of tax collector.
I'm definitely wearing the tax collector's hat, and we are very, very busy with people calling and coming in and mailing in their taxes. So that's basically what's happening in our office.
Yes.
I'll make
So
a motion to
bills.
approve the payment of the town vouchers number 1-54 as audited for abstract 1A in the amount of $8,494.82 from general fund, $37,076.45 from highway fund, $85.51 from Willow Bob lighting fund, and $73.46 from sewer and north fund.
I'll second it.
Do you want me to repeat that? I will read the whole thing.
all have mics, don't you, up there?
I don't know why they, you know, maybe there's some undertone, I don't know.
You're not talking.
Pardon?
You're not speaking up.
Well, I'm speaking my normal, it's right here, I don't know what else to do. I will read that again. Motion to approve payment of town vouchers number 1 through 54 is audited for abstract 1A in the amounts of $8,494.82 from general fund, $37,076.45 from highway fund, $85.51 from Willow Bob lighting fund, and $73.46 from the sewer north fund.
I second it.
I would point out the highway amount was higher than usual because we are making a band payment on the Gradall of $21,000. Okay. Ruth, please call the roll on that one.
Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Counselor Greco?
Yes.
Supervisor Hawthorne?
Yes.
Counselor Haggerty?
Yes.
Counselor Abbott?
Okay, thank you. Our next meeting will be January 28th. It's a work session. We will start with a audit of the financial records, which is required each year by the state of the town board members, and followed, and when you finish that, we'll do the work session. And then the regular monthly meeting, and we should put in here, public hearing will be at 7, followed by the regular monthly meeting. Okay, now, public comment?
I'll be your first.
Okay, come forward, please.
Can't help it. Congratulations. Nice seeing you back, Ruth. I have 2 questions. I couldn't come to the appointment, the appointing of, because I had another obligation that night. Every year, you appoint certain people, every year. The planning board, the zoning board, and all them go 5 to 7 years. But every year, you appoint the attorney, the code enforcers, the constable, the deputy, and all these people every year. This year, Vince Greco, I have a question for you. Every year it was brought before our attention that we had a code enforcer that lived out of Fulton. And you, Nancy, says nobody in Granby would apply for it. So this year, somebody applied for the code enforcer that lives in Granby. I never got a wind of this till after. Do you all know him?
Yep.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Nancy, it wasn't discussed with me before I got off the board. I didn't know anything about this before the board. Why wasn't this man invited to be interviewed with the constable, the Mary Ann for the assessors? Why wasn't this man invited, just like everybody else, to be interviewed with the rest of the people? Why? Why wasn't he?
Okay.
Why? Nancy, you wrote him a letter and said there was no opening. Here we are, you appoint every year. Every year.
The fact that, can I answer now?
No, why
Okay.
didn't you invite him and interview him with the board?
The fact that we reappoint people each year does not necessarily indicate there is a vacancy. Now, in the case of the constable, there was a vacancy. In the case of the assessor, there was a vacancy. There was a true vacancy. The fact that we reappoint does not indicate there's a vacancy. It does mean that if we chose to, we could not reappoint, but that's different from a vacancy.
No. When you interview, when you have a yearly appointments means if somebody comes in and wants a job, you mean to tell me that they can't have a job?
I'm not saying that.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying that each year, we determine whether we're going to reappoint. Then, if we decided we were not going to reappoint someone, then we would say, okay, we have a vacancy and we will interview.
We have a man, a taxpayer from Granby that applied for a job that we have a code enforcer that lives in Scruple or Phoenix. This man is a taxpayer of Granby. He should have had the respect to be interviewed as a taxpayer of Granby. Vince, am I right or wrong? Vince.
There was no opening. If there was an opening, maybe we would have called
Vince,
the meeting.
you answered that nobody wanted a job in Granby.
I've said that, yeah.
Okay, somebody wants the job in Granby now.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to,
Oh,
suddenly
this
change
has been my
direction.
last week.
Let me explain one thing, because people may not realize it. That position requires an extreme amount of certification.
All right,
6
wait.
weeks.
I'm going to answer you on this one. A few years back, we had a man, 5 years, schooling Syracuse University on the zoning board. Because he missed a few meetings working out of town,
That was me.
Mr. Holmes,
I didn't think you knew that.
you have to replace him because you have to have somebody here at every meeting, and he missed a few meetings. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. Now what are you telling me? You're contradicting yourself
No,
here.
it's a different
He
issue.
was a well-qualified man, and you put a new man.
It wasn't a matter of his qualifications. He himself said that it may be a difficult thing for him to come to many of the meetings.
I said that if you had someone else that was more qualified, then I would understand why you would appoint them. Basically, that's what I said. I'm not sorry that you appointed someone else, because it took a lot of time. I didn't miss the meetings that you said I missed. 2 of them I missed because I wasn't notified about them. Because we had sporadic meetings at that time, but you never looked into that.
Try to.
What you're doing here, Vincent, what you're doing here is you're having selective enforcement of your own rules, the same thing that the code enforcement officers do.
We're not going to, we're
You
not going to,
people are a travesty.
All right, okay, Homer. You replaced him with a person that didn't know nothing at the start of school. So you're contradicting yourself about the code enforcer. Okay, you're contradicting about your code, that he is qualified. Now, he is this and he is that. You let him go because he missed a few meetings. I was the only one against on this board, you and you and you. Our assessor, which was on the planning board at the time, went to Florida all winter, and we paid him to be in Florida all winter, right, Vince? And yet, tell me about it. He was on the planning board, and he missed planning board all winter, and he got paid for being an assessor down in Florida.
I know about
all right,
that.
Nancy, answer me.
The planning board is a 7-member board, and he did go to Florida.
So what? The zoning board's 5, and he got paid for planning, and he got paid for being an assessor in Florida all winter. Nancy, you okayed that. Now
What?
tell me, what kind of games is this? Don't look surprised, Nancy. Vince,
Well, I know he's on the, who was the assessor that was?
Jones. He went to Florida all winter, and he was on the planning board all winter. He got paid for it to be in Florida. Now here's a man that went out of town to work for a couple of times, and you removed him.
Fred
Hey.
Martin's in Florida right now, every winter.
Hey,
And I've been
This is why
complaining
I got
about
off.
it too,
He
but
he got reappointed.
all right.
I haven't reappointed.
That's why I got off of this board.
he hasn't been reappointed.
Pull strings
He
here.
hasn't been reappointed.
Each situation you're talking
Sure he was.
to,
Oh,
Last year he was, I believe.
you
No.
can't answer none of my questions.
I won't even.
All right, here's
Back to
my
Mr.
second,
Jones.
here's my second question. Here's my second question.
Going straight.
I sit on that board, up to the last meeting here, Nancy, I said the paper today says Granby taxes are going up 9%. You said, oh, don't pay attention to them, no, blah, blah, don't do this. I got my tax bill. You said our taxes are gonna go 2% up, right?
1.1%.
Well, it's funny, I got my tax bill right in front of me
May I
here,
explain it?
and my change from last year to this year is 6.7.
May I explain that? And
Well,
I,
Who's
I-
lying? You or
may
me?
I explain it?
Oh, please do.
There
I'm
is
tired
a
of your
difference,
explaining.
what that percentage is, that change comes right after the column that says, what does it say, the tax levy, the amount levied?
My taxes went up 6.7.
No, your tax rate did not go up 6.7, the tax levy went up 6.7.
It says percent change from prior year.
Change of what, to what? It's,
Percent change from prior
no,
year.
let me
What does
explain
that
it, let
mean?
me give you some examples.
6.7.
Where-
Highway tax went up 2.4.
No, there's a difference between the tax levy and the tax rate. Now, the tax, as I understand these tax bills, are hard to understand, but that change is the difference, and I'll tell you exactly what the difference was. With the general tax, I kind of remember last year we raised a sum total of $34,000 and something from the taxpayers for the general fund. This year, we raised 37,000 for the general fund, and it was a, one penny per thousand increase in the tax rate. In the tax levy, that $3,000 probably figures out to that
My
7%.
taxes went up 6.7 in the town.
It's not percentage.
2.4 highway, 1.2 fire. Now you're telling me nothing's moving in Granby, we're this and we're that. Nancy, my opinion, it stinks. That's
Well,
why
I
go
know.
up the-
Rose, our tax went up, it was 20 cents last year, the general rate was 20 cents,
No,
this year it's 21.
It's 21. It's
The
1 penny.
highway
That is
last
a
year was
1.1% increase in your tax
Well,
rate.
what?
That is the tax levy, the total amount raised for taxes. Now, the reason we were able to do that is because we had 2 million or close to 3 million additional assessment, which paid that difference. That made up the difference, so we could maintain
Tell her.
almost the same tax rate we had last
I
year.
want an answer on my first question. Why didn't you invite this man in to be interviewed? That's all I want to know is why didn't you invite this?
I considered it, and then I thought about the whole
Who are
thing.
you to consider? You, I,
Rosie,
me.
can I say something?
Rose,
Can I jump in for-
Rose,
Rosie,
Can I jump in for
Let
just
me
a
say
second?
one person at a time, please. Rose, are you finished?
I just want to touch on the tax levy.
Well, you can,
controversy.
and one person
Let
at
him
a
speak. I
time.
just want to inform you.
We
so
don't
that maybe we
talk
can put
back
this
and
thing to bed if I explain it to you. There's a saying, words are like eyeglasses. What they don't make clear, they blur. And when you tell people that you're increasing your budget by 1% and leading them to believe that their taxes are going to go up by 1%, you're obscuring the truth.
That is the truth.
You're increasing the budget by 1%, but that's not what you're talking about
No,
with
I'm
tax. If you increase the levy by 6%, your taxes are gonna increase by 6%.
No, they don't.
And if you try to obscure one thing with another, you're not telling the truth. And if your budget goes up by 1, but your tax levy goes up by 6, your taxes go up by 6.
No.
And your job is to make that clear to your taxpayers so they understand. Rosie's got 6.7, even though the budget went up by 1, the levy went up by 6. And the levy is what we're interested in, because that's what hits us in the pocketbook.
My bill is what I pay attention to. I don't pay attention to you anymore.
Budget and levy are different. Levy's what affects the taxpayers. And if you try to lead the people to believe that the budget is different than the levy, you're confusing them.
The budget and the levy are basically the same. The tax rate is different.
The tax rate is affected by the levy, not
The
by the
tax
percentage of
rate
budget.
is what people are concerned about.
Exactly.
Because that is what raises your tax.
If you've got a $100,000 budget, and your budget goes up by 1,000, but your levy is 10, that $1,000 is 10% of the levy. That's a 10% tax increase, but you can lead the people to believe that it's a 1%. Your job is to convey clearly what's happening, not what you want them to believe. You have to.
not trying to deceive anyone.
Listen, I
But
sit
it
on
does
that
deceive
board.
if you lead it out there. Maybe you don't understand, but your levy is what affects my pocketbook and everybody in this
The
room.
levy is the total amount of dollars collected.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
if we
Exactly.
say, if that's divided among more people, it's not necessarily going to be more tax, is it?
Is the population increasing around here?
It isn't necessarily more people, but it's more assessment.
Exactly. Your levy goes up, your assessment goes up.
No,
Or your levy goes up, your taxes go up. Period. You don't have to change your.
we could levy last year, every year I've done. You know, we've,
What is
we-
we?
I don't think I'm getting
no,
through to you,
you're
but
wrong, I'm sorry about the numbers.
If our tax, if
The tax rate-
Let me just lay it out to you on the county level. The county tax levy last year was $31 million. We went up to $37 million. Now that $6 million is only like a 2% of the entire budget. But it's a 20% tax increase because it's 20% of the levy. And if you try to confuse people with a percentage of the budget versus a percentage of the levy, you're not getting the clear message to the people who have to pay the bills.
Sir,
You
I'm
can
not-
obscure or you can be clear.
I'm
I'm
not
just saying-
trying to be obscure.
And I'm not saying you are, but I don't think you understand.
I do understand.
Your job is to convey to the taxpayers what's going to happen.
I'm trying to explain to Rose the difference.
Really,
Now,
I'm
don't
not doing
explain
it
to
in your
me,
neck.
explain to Granby what you said last year. Explain to all the people of Granby, Nancy, not just to me.
You know, there were years out, you can look at that chart out here, when our tax rate did not go up at all. If your tax rate doesn't go up, your taxes don't go up.
Listen,
Unless your assessment
I
goes
got a tax
up.
bill here, and when I
Bill
read,
Clinton.
you said don't pay attention to the
you're
newspaper. The
absolutely right.
newspaper, which is the Valley News there, said, we went up 9%. You said they don't know what they're talking about.
That's
Well,
for me, I wanted to be a
and I get
politician
this,
today,
I
am.
don't think you know what you're talking about, Nancy. I don't, now,
I'm trying to
answer my
remember
other question, my
the
3
issue
minutes
with
is
the
up.
newspaper.
Why didn't you invite that man in to be interviewed for that position before you said no?
Because I did not feel there was a vacancy.
I did not. Okay. Thank you. It's me and I.
3 cents.
Not a 3%.
3 cents.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. 3
Between
cents.
federal and state. That,
No, I'm talking on that
I mean,
federal highway.
between
Yeah,
general
3
and
cents
highway.
more. It went up
3 cents
247.
increase in the tax rate equals 1.1% increase in your tax rate. 3 cents equals 1.1%.
1.1%.
We have had years when we have raised more money. Every year we've raised more money than the year before. But we've had many years when our tax rate has been the same or even less than the previous year. And the tax rate is what determines what your tax is. Yes, sir, your turn.
Les Holmes, Lemon Hill Road, Bolton, New York. Semi-taxpayer, sometimes I can pay them, sometimes I can't. Did I hear you right? I couldn't hear very well. But did you make reappointments on this Lake Neonawina committee?
Yes, we did.
You made, did you
We
advertise?
affirm, this is an ad hoc committee, it's not something we have to advertise.
You don't have
We
to-
don't even have to advertise by law any of these positions. We do, because we believe, you know, when there's a vacancy, we do.
None of the rest of us slobs get a chance to get on any of this stuff, huh? I guess I'm used to that.
Freedom here.
I mean, we got a problem, Nancy, we got a problem with you, number one. I think you gotta, search your soul here and see whether you're gonna serve the people or you're gonna serve Nancy.
Your friends.
I guess that's all I have to say right for now, but I will have more to say to you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Who said that was an ad?
It's not a town official, you know, it's a town official. It's a committee.
Before I get started, I'd like to make one comment about
Speak up, Ed, I can't hear
the
you.
highway town
Use the
supervisor,
microphone.
or the highway town superintendent. I think he's doing a good job. I watch him on the roads every morning, and I think that the highway superintendent and the people that work for him are doing a good job. I don't understand why we need a highway superintendent, but I guess we got deputies in just about every department in this town, because we got a lot of money. But I would like to address the All in the Family television program up here. I'd like to know, how much does a code enforcement officer make and how much does a constable make?
I didn't bring the,
What's their pays?
this here.
Right there.
5,000.
About 4,500 for the constable without.
4,500?
I believe without.
Is that without all his little benefits and everything?
There ain't much benefit, just for you.
No benefits.
He's allowed something for the, if he has to replace his shirt or uniform.
He gets mileage.
Does he get mileage if he goes?
The constables never put in for mileage.
They shouldn't. If they drive.
Bobby
you-
Anthony never did?
Because,
position.
no, he never did.
A code enforcement officer, what's he make, 6,300?
Something like that.
Code enforcement?
Yeah. Well, let's say it's 6,300. So you're now $10,800 without any benefits or anything that you must consider belongs out of the town of Granby, since you appointed Mr. Dalton, who lives in the town of Schuylkill, both constable and code enforcement officer. And I hate to disagree with Bryce Towns' report. By his own admission, he says that they don't ever get off their rear end in the Post-Standard newspaper to go out. They wait for somebody to turn in a complaint.
I looked at our position description, which
No.
we adopted, and it says in there that they will operate on a complaint basis. Now, if we want to change that, we could do so.
Let's put it
but-
this way, I've checked with some other towns, and you're one of the few towns that operates on a complaint basis. If a person's paid $6,300.
No, they're paid, most of that is for their enforcement of the New York State Uniform Fire and Building Code, which is another,
Yeah.
a separate thing from the zoning code.
From
And
what
that's
I-
where they spend most of their time. and
From
earn
what I
most of that money.
understand, they aren't enforcing that very well. Just in a quick drive around the town, last fall, we found approximately 40 swimming pools, that were the blow-up kind and hold over 2,400 gallons of water. And we found some in-ground pools that hadn't had fences around them for 15 years because the person happened to have worked for the town of Granby at one time. Now, in talking this over with the Department of State, I have a letter from the Assistant Director of Regional Services for the Code Division, and he indicates that not only are our code enforcers, but the code is not being adhered to in the town of Granby, and I've asked him to run a complete investigation into the town. Now, yeah, well, you may change your tune just a little, girl, let me tell you. Also, I checked with the Attorney General's office. He says you have the right to appoint people outside the town. Is it proper? No. Is it right? No. He said one way we can stop it is to circulate petitions in the town, and if we get enough signatures, submit them to the Attorney General's office, the Department of State, a copy to the governor, and ask for your removal. That's the only way, from what I can tell, because of the way the state runs the government, that we can do anything about it. And so I intend to circulate those petitions and do something about it.
We try to, in our hiring practices, adhere to our employee handbook, and in there it says the town will try to seek the best qualified person. That's the
Okay.
number one
And
priority.
You're indicating that
criteria.
Dalton would be more qualified than, say, Les Holmes or George or somebody?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we
What
interviewed,
qualifications did he have when you appointed?
he is a certified peace officer.
Not
which-
as constable, what qualifications did he have as a code enforcer?
He is a certified New York State inspector of this,
And how did he become certified? He went to school, right?
yes.
Okay. Once you have a code enforcement officer or an assessor or a constable, there is a school that they can go to, am I correct?
Yes. He had already gone to the
We
He's
sent
school.
already gone to it, but.
He was already certified.
We
But
send
if
them.
you appointed somebody and they hadn't gone to that school, they can go to that school
Yes.
while they're being a code enforcement officer.
That's correct.
All right, so what I'm saying is then you could take a person out of the town of Granby like George or like Les, if they hadn't been to that school, you could appoint them and keep the money that the taxpayers pay in this town within the town. And don't tell me there aren't people in this town who would take a job if you advertise in an advertisement no bigger than this. Not everybody takes the Valley News. It's a good paper, but not everybody takes it. Not everybody takes the Post Standard or the Palladium Times.
They don't matter, they don't advertise us.
They advertise supposedly in the Valley News, but it's not a very big advertisement. You should also notify the people here at the meeting, at least 2 board meetings ahead, when you're going to seek these letters or these appointments, so that they can talk to some people and see if there isn't somebody in the town that would like to earn money from the town in which they live, instead of giving it to somebody who lives in the town of Screwball.
We, I think as I recall, Mr. Anthony did not tell us until perhaps 1 month before
Now,
the end of the year that he was not going to continue.
you had to appoint Bob Anthony, deputy constable, just in case Dalton issues a ticket to somebody, has to appear in court. He can't appear against that person as constable under the state law. He
That would
cannot
be
do that.
one situation, or perhaps Mr. Dalton would be ill.
Or go to Florida for a month or something, then Bob would be here to take care of that. Because they are court officers. They're not police officers. They're court officers. They serve at the discretion of the court. And if the judge sentenced somebody to jail, the constable can handcuff them and take them into that room in there, and then they have to call a policeman to come and pick them up to transport them to the jail. They cannot do that under the law, as I understand it in discussing this with the chief investigator for the court down in New York City.
I believe that's the case, and I would hope that would be the way it would work.
Well, you know,
She didn't
I'm
understand what
just
you said.
shocked at the way you do things. And I'm shocked at the way this board does things, not the two new ones particularly, but the past ones, okay? And I think you should, if you're in here, and you are in here for the town of Granby, then your main concern is the people within the town of Granby, not people in Schuylkill, not anywhere else, the town of Granby. It's the same as we got new county legislators, and they should be concerned with the people within the county, which I think quite a few of them are. And they should be down in Albany fighting for the county of Oswego, as you should be down at the county building fighting for the town of Granby. I mean, you are elected by the people.
There are two ways to do that, and I did have considerable discussion with people just prior to the county budget. For me, to go to a public meeting and put on a big show is not my thing. I would rather pick up the phone and say, I'm concerned. And one of the things I expressed my concern about was the community college thing. Because, first of all, they said they were just going to dump it over on the town, and I immediately contacted the Association of Towns.
Right.
They said, no, they can't do that. So I informed a few people about that at the county level.
And what is your information, Nancy, to change that too, by the way? You did educate them down there.
Right,
They weren't
I
going
know
to
I
sit
did.
around there until you told them that.
I'm still concerned about that because they say it's fair, but we all benefit from an educated population. And the Granby people who go to community college may end up working in Mexico or Oswego or wherever. And we all benefit.
Another thing I'd like to bring up tonight, you rushed in here at the last board meeting and told us what a great meeting you'd been to, where the governor and the county commission, et cetera, announced about the Nessun Company. If Senator Schumer hadn't got the deal done for us, the governor wouldn't have had anything to announce. Nor would the county commission have anything to announce. And nobody gave him any credit.
Frank Fox.
Speak up, Frank.
Come on, Frank.
Speak up.
Couple of things. First of all, does Bob Anthony draw a salary, or does he get paid by the hour when he fills in for his other, well,
He would get paid by the hour,
he would
by
get paid?
voucher.
Okay. Secondly is that, at one time, there was a grant money given for this car that he drives around in sometimes with the red lights, and where's that gonna be now?
Just
See,
turn the car back to the town.
It's gonna be housed here at the town?
No, we sold it.
Oh, you sold it, okay. Thirdly, I think that you should look down the road at a possible problem. Throughout this area, there's been a number of fire departments, okay, that have decided to go away from the commissioners and do their own thing, and therefore they have to give the stuff back to the town, or they have to buy it, because in reality, if they collapse, you people own the property, the trucks and everything else. Same way in Bowling, Phoenix, and whatever, okay? Now, we should look at some policies down the road, because in the past, you've had volunteer firemen, and nothing against you, Dave. You've had volunteer firemen that have been on the board, a number of them, and I don't have to name them, you know who they are. They've been from Cody and they've been from Granby, and some of them have been supervised. And you should have a policy set in case that ever happens, that if Mr. Edwards or person X or person Y were on the town board, or person A was supervised, they should have to disqualify themselves or take a leave of absence right at the get-go, so there could be no appearance of an impropriety. Not just say that they're not going to vote on it, but for all the negotiation, you should have a policy, because you never know when that's going to happen, because it's happened in Onondaga County, 2 or 3 places, and in Phoenix, just recently. and they have to give the equipment back to the town and the buildings and everything else, and then they have to pay to get it back if they want it, or they can go somewhere else. Because theoretically, the town of Granby owns all the fire department stuff in Cody, and the buildings and the property, and same way with Granby Center. Yes.
Aren't they, like Phoenix, isn't that one of,
They were head commissioners and that was.
they had commissioner?
They had, the same way with volunteer.
Because many of these fire departments, you know, are,
Town owned all the stuff. So, this could raise a
I
problem.
have to look into that.
I think you should look into it, because if it ever happened, then you'd have a problem. That's about all at this point that I have. I just wanted to ask about the car. I think that you should explain more fully this tax process, because I think Fran Hofer is right. And I think you're, I mean, that's a question
I wish maybe.
that's a big question to iron out. And the other thing is that, we've had enough problems within this town of not doing their job, or, you know, code enforcement and other places, and assessors, or the problem of re-evals every 10 years and whatever. In my opinion, the town shouldn't have to take that shot. They should be doing the job, they should be doing the revals. And that if you have one person in the town doing 2 or 3 jobs, they can't do the jobs properly. They can't apply the time properly if you got one person doing 2 jobs. And if you got people that are interested in the jobs in the town, I think it's only fair that you offer them the job, or see what their qualifications are and what they have to do.
I felt that
And
we followed the same procedure in terms of advertising that we always do. We had 3 people interested in the constable position. I had a very open mind about it. You know, I would just have been just as happy to, you know, happier to have had someone from town.
being an officer of the court,
And we,
and that's what Bob was theoretically. And I would guess maybe that if there was some other problems down the road with being an officer of the court and doing something else, quite possibly all the cases that he sat at or was in court at could be challenged by attorneys. And you'd have to go right back to square one and look at the cases, because it would be a apparent conflict of interest.
yeah, he will not be representing the codes office in any court matter.
Well,
That's understood. But what happened, we had a gentleman from,
Well, then he won't be a codes officer. If he can't represent for.
no, we
for the
have,
town.
that's why we have 3 codes officers. They work together, they trade, they.
If he issues a ticket,
He
he's the
will
one
not
that has
issue
to
the
rep.
ticket. He will transfer the case to one of the other codes officers.
Then what do we have him for a code officer for then?
He's not
You
a code
understand,
officer.
the codes officer has a lot more than, most of the issues, all the issues that come to court are zoning issues. The codes officers spend 90% of their time on the code enforcement, which is the New York State Fire and Building Code.
I got one final question.
Yes.
Your February 11th date for the public hearing from the sole assessor, I would hope that you would consider more than one date for public hearing, because of the weather conditions in February. And also, I think that probably it would be only fair that the correct amount of publicity or information to get to all the taxpayers no matter what. Because I have to go back and I have to say that I don't believe that sole assessor working 2 or 3 days a week with a secretary or part-time secretary can do anything different than what we got 3 assessors now that aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
Sole assessors are
Go to Florida
much better
if you
trained.
Yeah, but,
And
you know, what are you gonna fire a sole assessor every other year?
I hope not,
Well, you know,
so. Anyone else?
I'm Mark Gardner, County Road 3, Granby. I was here 2 meetings ago
Right.
about the fireworks, and I asked at the time what the guidelines were
Okay.
for the permit. Is anyone,
We, as a board, we have not discussed it. I did ask the codes officer to check the state law and to see what other communities do and so forth. What, if we allow a permit for fireworks, what the criteria has to be, and
well,
he did
I
some,
know the law, would you like a copy?
he gave it to me.
The state penal code?
I don't know,
It's under the penal code.
let me
the
see,
state penal
he
code.
gave me something that was a law, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
405 penal code.
So, what we wanted to do, and I wanted the new board to do this, is to discuss this. We haven't forgotten. No.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, because, I mean, they don't meet the criteria. It says there, they have to be 200 feet away from roads
Okay.
and permanent buildings, which they
Right.
aren't. 50 feet away from trees, telephone poles, which they're not.
He gave me a folder of, and it
Do
probably
they,
says the
Do they
same.
give you a bond before they apply, so they
I
permit?
believe so.
Fidelity bond?
I don't know whether they give to us.
They have to give you a minimum $5,000 fidelity bond before they apply for the permit. To cover damages caused.
I believe that. But this has the same penal law, section 405.
Yeah.
He's given us some research on it, and I'm going to share it with the board, and we will be discussing.
Okay, well, as I come up tonight, because I was,
Okay.
my belief that they were gonna be here tonight to ask for a permit.
Oh, no. We would not,
From what I've heard, I believe what was going on, so.
we would not issue a permit. We definitely want to look into this much more deeply before we would entertain.
Part of the law, there's no place in the immediate area that would be fire department that can't help.
So I don't know, I mean, whatever, and as I said
I do,
before,
so I read the law.
what, as I said before, whatever, we're looking at this as a townwide, not an issue of whether to give a permit to Granby Center, but whether we should give permits at all, and if so, what the criteria will be, whether it's Granby Center or Cody or, you know, Lake Nyatawana or whatever. So that's why it's going to take us some time to decide what to do about that. And I want this new board to look at it very closely.
Well, I just want to know.
I appreciate it.
I sent it to you.
Thank you.
Sure. I asked before, nobody said no.
No, well,
It looks like they wanted to start to work, so we can't.
that was kind of the way it was, and now we know, and I have asked them to do this
Well, if you want
research.
someone to speak, Mark Spahn, Fulton Police Chief, he's the one that drew up the proposal for the application.
I believe
for
that-
fireworks in New York State.
I believe that, well, Grace is the one that did this, and we talked to him.
Mark Spahn's the one that did all of it. He did the proposal, drew up the application, so he can tell you.
Because he indicated to me that Mark is the one who does the inspections for the city.
Well, I got the information.
Yeah. So, we're both on the same,
I called the Attorney General, and they said, well, there must be a department, but I don't know what it is. Here's the government word. That's as far as I got with that.
Mr. Gardner, what's your first name? I'm sorry.
Mark.
Mark? Thank you.
so we're working on it. Nothing's gonna happen real quick. As far as, we certainly aren't going to be giving out any permits, you know, so.
Well, that was my understanding they were gonna be here tonight to
I
ask
know.
for one, so.
I don't know, I hadn't heard that.
Thanks, Mark.
Can I give that to Mr. Gardner?
Excuse me?
Can I give that?
I'll make a
I only
copy,
have
I'll make a
one.
copy of the whole thing.
Larry Fink, 379 County Route 3. I'm just simply here tonight again to back up what Mark has presented to the town board tonight. All we're simply trying to do is educate the town board, perhaps. From my feeling from the last meeting in December is that some of you did not know what the penal laws are. You don't really are into what the town ordinances are. guidelines for some water problems and like that. So, I just want to say that I hope that this is a very educational thing for you to look into and really find out what needs to be done. I'm surprised, I guess, that when issues like this come up, like fireworks or a water situation like I explained in December, that immediately you people don't go to your town ordinances, laws, and guidelines, and whatever it may be, and start looking into the details of that. Because it's the details that make the main thing happen. And I'm not pointing the finger at any particular person on this town board, believe me. I mean, Mr. Edwards, a new man on here, and I appreciate what he spoke to me about after the last meeting. And I know Carol was a new person on the board too, but I just want to reaffirm again, and Carol, I hope somebody will explain to Carol what I said at the last one, if not, just get the video or something to see what I said on this. With these fireworks, it is a situation where it is a fire hazard. There's embers coming down on people's roofs. There's clutter from the fireworks that go all over the people's yards. And I know, I hope Dan doesn't mind me mentioning this, but since the last town board meeting, I have to say that I appreciate, Dan, you coming to me and being interested enough to go around and talk to some of the other neighbors. And it isn't just Mark and I, but there's plenty of neighbors that are concerned about this.
About a half a dozen are all very concerned.
And as I mentioned before, my attorney is very concerned that it is a fire hazard. So, and I'm not pointing the finger to every fire department, Mr. Edwards, so don't get me wrong on that. So, but I have a lot of respect for this town board. I hope that, like Frank was saying tonight and other people, I hope this town board will not get involved with the politics, but stand on your own feet and make your own mind up and make a secured and a good decision for the town of Granby people. And I think, I must say that if one of the firemen do come in and request a permit, I have to say this, if it is Mr. Babcock, I might suggest that I honestly feel it might be a issue of conflict of interest.
It wouldn't be him. I've told him that I would not want him involved in that issue.
Okay, being a town board.
I've already told him that.
Like that.
So
I just hope that.
I wouldn't expect him to be.
So.
No, I think he recognizes
I think you're
superior, sir.
and respect that.
Trying to.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Nancy,
Yes.
may I say something to, sitting on that board, and when they come in for that complaint, it never dawned on me till somebody brought it up. There's gas tanks right next door to me, and the fireworks are right behind the gas tanks, and it never dawned on me how dangerous that is until after they came in. It never dawned on me about the gas tanks and the fireworks. That is a dangerous thing, and I have to abide by what they said. That's more dangerous than fire blowing on their roof, and gas tanks right next to the fireworks. That is dangerous.
Oh, Georgie, get up.
I just have one couple little questions. Oh, so I'm gonna sit right here for 2 hours. I'm George Thomas. The snowplow goes by my house. There's speed limit on the trip, not followed.
You're supposed to pay the same law as anybody else.
You can go 50 miles an hour past the house.
That if it's a 30 mile an hour.
I think the speed limit on a snowplow is 25 to 30 miles an hour.
I don't know if there's special speed.
Well, you guys don't know.
I don't
I followed a plow on County Route 8. That's just the speed limit they were doing. 25 miles an hour. They spun around mailboxes. And they could have called the mailboxes, went right straight, out so the mailman could get them back. But no, they went around it. That's all right.
We get a lot of complaints from people about mailboxes.
Yeah, Let me tell you something, they go by my house, I bet you 40 to 45 miles an hour. They fill it up with snow. When I get my paper in the morning, it's covered. When I get my mail, it's covered. They run them plows up and down the road going so fast, they can't even scrape the side of the roads because the plow, the wing can't stay down. It's a speed. Moyer don't have it, he don't, I think the men are running Moyer. They do what they want to do. Because, wait a minute, they go up and down them roads. That's where our biggest tax money is. They don't make enough money, they save, with what they're getting. They voted the union in, they get all their benefits, their insurance and everything. And we have to pay it. I don't get benefits, I have to pay for my own benefits. That's beside the point. The point is, why should they run out on, and down the road when there's no snow on the road?
You have to take that up with the highway superintendent.
Yeah, I know it, but why take it up? I took it up with him here before he left.
I do not overrule him, I do not tell him what to do.
You don't tell anybody what to do.
No,
You're right.
he is the,
Stating the eloquence up and down.
he is the elected official, and I have no right to operate that.
What do we got a supervisor for then?
You are the supervisor, Nancy.
I do not, by law, have any authority over the highway superintendent, other than the
Well, how
board.
come you voted in
The board as a whole has,
excuse me, how come you voted in the union?
we,
We what?
can I finish?
Yeah.
We have, I was about to say, the only authority that this board has is the financial. We pay them, we buy the equipment.
That's how you control them. That's how you control them.
Money does control.
You work for the 100% insurance, Nancy.
All right, anyone else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Well,
See,
Okay.
you was going through a thing with Rosie here about the percentage and so on and so
3
forth.
cents.
Did I understand, I don't know whether I'm in the right category or not, but a contingency fund of the sort that we had, did you take a considerable amount of money out of that this year to make things come out right?
This past year?
Yeah.
Each year we appropriate part of the unexpended funds from the previous year. We did that last year, we did not spend any of it.
No, for this coming year, to build our taxes, the budget and so on.
And again, this year, we took a significant amount of the unappropriated funds, or the surplus funds, if you will, and appropriated it for next year's budget. I think this time we will be spending some of that. We will, in other words, be spending down on our unexpended funds because we have the unusual expense of the reval and the increase in the retirement.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Because of that money that you used, and you know from my past history, I don't think that money should be there to start with. But that money you used, that you had to take that out of the taxes, or pay it for it with taxes, the taxes would have been up considerable more, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That's what's happened with the county, I think.
Pardon?
That's what's happened with the county. They
I'm not
had,
talking about the county, I'm talking
Yeah.
about here, what you done. You took money out of that unexpended balance, we'll say, so that you didn't have to raise the taxes, correct?
we each year appropriate money from that fund. Now, that is not necessarily, we haven't, like I said, last year, we had more revenues, not counting that, than we had expenditures.
I mean, so there's a different way. If you hadn't had that contingency, that unexpended balance, you'd have had to raise the taxes to make things come out right, wouldn't you?
I'd have to go and look, because I know many years we have not used any of
All
it.
right, okay. I'm not
If you
going
don't
around-
use
I'm not
it,
gonna go around the bush
You
with
don't
this.
need it,
Forget
but
it right there.
we
Now,
have it, and we're fortunate to have it, because now we can do the reval without raising taxes. So at some point, it's there to be spent. It doesn't all come from your tax dollars, you know, our tax dollars, the general tax dollars are 7% of the
I
revenue.
think you know what I'm trying to say, you just aren't giving me the benefit of the
I don't.
If you had to use that money, how much you gonna how much you gonna take? 100 plus?
We appropriated more than 100, yes.
Yeah, okay, if you had to use that money, the taxes would have had to be much more than they are now, correct?
In order to do what we plan to
Okay,
do.
so all my question was from the
It doesn't come from the taxes.
That's all I had, that's all I wanted.
Well, she just said that.
But, like I say, we budget rather conservatively, and last year I appropriated, I think, 90-some thousand. We didn't spend any of it, because we had enough revenue to cover our expenditures. We kept our expenditure down, and revenues covered.
When I see it,
But
it makes me
it's,
3 or 4
you, a little bit of a. Anything else?
That's what I did.
I took down your comments, and I'll let them know your concern.
Nothing gets accomplished.
We'll let them know your concern.
Yeah, like Paul, don't do any good, this guy goes by that house, he goes flying. One of these days, he's gonna go flying, I'm gonna be standing right there with a snowblower, blowing snow right towards him.
Don't get in an accident.
Oh, I gotta be, because they go by there and they shove the snow all the way up the house, they dug the lawn up, and I'll tell you, they're gonna fix it next spring, they've done it before and they fixed it for people, they're gonna
George.
remind.
George, they gotta practice someplace, you know, they might as well practice on you.
Yeah, well, my deeds are gonna get some of the other drivers. I'll block that road off.
Can I ask you one more?
Comment?
I was gonna ask before and I wasn't breaking up the finish it. On this, Lake Yanawanda Reclamation Committee, now you've already appointed them people, they're in there, right? This is it. There's no way that you can say, we'll take applications from other people, maybe there are some other people that would rather be on
And
there.
maybe some of these people won't want to continue serving, and I don't even know if that group is
That's
even
what you said
active at
about
this
the other
point.
thing.
But,
Well, the only thing,
This was a hindsight thing, I
these
believe.
people had been appointed, I think basically only one of them is appointed for a full 3-year term. So each year, there's,
well, how come you appoint them this year? It says,
because we didn't, no one, neither us nor the city of Fulton did any appointments in recent years.
but it says, one of them's appointed for '04, her appointment ended in '04. And Bobby, his appointment ends in '05.
Didn't Body get off the committee
I don't know, I'll have to ask
because
him.
of the bullhead point?
That could be, I don't know, I'll ask him if he wants to,
And then Jim Best is '06. Aren't they still on there though, Bobby and Best?
Body's
I mean, you
done.
can't appoint them, they're already.
We are reaffirming the appointments, let's put it that way. I just wanted to make it official that those are our representative people. We're
You know,
not-
it would really be nice, because I certainly don't know what I'm doing, but it would be nice if you know what you're doing. I'm starting to get interested in this town and my county. I'm finding it very hard to reason a lot of your activities. You're gonna be seeing a lot more of me, but I just don't understand how you can make a reappointment when they're already appointed. The only one that isn't appointed is Fannie Knapp. And
You can at any time reaffirm something you've done before or
Yeah,
should
but
have
Mike's
done
not even on
before,
the
or
committee
whatever.
anymore.
I don't know that it's a big issue. I didn't think it was a big issue.
Bullhead point deal.
yeah, I think everything you do from now on is gonna be an issue. I think that's why you got so many, I used to come here for
This is
crying out
not
loud, there was no
a
one here.
required, it is not a town official that is required by law. It's something that has come up some years ago.
Well,
And
building
it's a,
inspectors are, and we still had the same discussion over building inspectors. You understand what I'm saying? We've got a pattern here. It's like a Shivigate pattern, you know, we really don't care. We're gonna do it this way. You know, let's get with the program and do what we're supposed to do. You know, and it's like taking notes. You take notes, you do what the whole meeting's about, you don't just do the highlights.
Ruth has total discretion on what notes she takes.
Well, I'm sure she does, but still, as a taxpayer, I have to voice my opinion that I feel that whatever's said should be put down. I think
Yeah,
we
she-
just shouldn't get the highlights, because the things can get left out that way. You know, I think that
If you aren't careful, you're gonna be in the same category I am. Greco got me as a rebel rouser.
I'm gonna be the same way.
I couldn't ask for better company.
I'll make the motion we adjourn.
I'm
All
in your
in favor?
club.
Aye. Okay,
Come back again when you can't.
hash that out enough, I guess.
These guys are young guys, and they probably are.
I left the car.
These guys are young guys.